Allison Lancaster, and I'm here with
Kim Johnson, Executive Director of the Dripping Springs Area Chamber of Commerce.
So we're just going to have a little discussion, kind of just get some basic info from a resident of Dripping Springs about Dripping Springs. So I'm just going to start off with how long have you lived here?
Lived here approximately 30 years.
Okay, and tell me about the history of the area, at least since you've been here from your perspective.
Oh, well, if you look at Dripping Springs right now, you'll see a sprawl growth. It's much more progressive today than it was, say, 30 years ago. 30 years ago, you didn't have the business growth that you see on Highway 290. As you come into Dripping Springs on Highway 290, that's where you can see where it's been growing. There isn't a lot of land left in Dripping Springs to operate another business or to build more subdivisions. Pretty much we're I'd say within the next 5 years, there probably won't be much land left on the 290. What do you want to say? We're not really in the corridor, but on the 290 thoroughfare, I guess, of Dripping Springs. So.
I noticed that you'll have a new Home Depot there.
We have a new Home Depot. This would be a full development by Bar Shop and Knowles. It will have probably a HEB plus. They haven't made up their mind if they want to be a plus. It depends on the size of the store, what they will offer in the center. But it will be a full development like you would see, say, on the corner of William Cannon and Brody. It's the same type of development where you'll have the big box stores, which would be Home Depot, HEB plus. You'll probably have a bank and a restaurant. Very typical, large parking area. So it would be a full development here on the corner of 12 and 290.
So as most of the residents, have they expressed positive sentiments about this growth?
I think the majority of the residents like it because it keeps the money in Dripping Springs. Of course, the City of Dripping Springs and the Chamber of Commerce would promote it because it does help keep the monies here in Dripping Springs, which would increase our revenue. But you're always going to have adversity. I think anytime there's growth, it's a scary thought, especially for your old-timers, as you would call them. A lot of them don't want growth, but you know what? There are a lot of them that do want growth because what it does, it keeps their families here. You'll find people that are, will probably be coming back home. You have students that graduate from here and they don't want to stay here because there's nothing to do. There aren't jobs here. So the more we get here, the more people that will probably come back. And maybe the old families will stay here.
Okay. Let's see. And what would you say are the good points about living in Dripping Springs?
Dripping Springs, you still have, even though it feels like it's becoming a big city, and I think the more development we have here and the more store development, your retail development here, people are going to say, oh, we're becoming big city. But I think there's enough of the rural flavor here still. We're sprawl, so you don't have it. It's not all in, combined in a dense area. We don't have everything just right here in downtown Dripping Springs. We're kind of spread out. So I think if you